So here is Churchill Shadow, and we're reading chapter 5. Well, I am. Bernie, whistle a happy tune. 3rd of February, Westminster, London. The London Underground train squealed to a halt at Westminster Station. On the platform was a chocolate machine. I wonder. Bernie searched his pockets and found a threepenny bit and inserted it in the slot. He pulled out the drawer and there was a bar of chocolate, a rare treat. In the hall, a busker leant on a wooden crutch, his back supported by the curved wall, and he played the bagpipes. Bernie recognised the tartan of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, his dad's old regiment. There was a row of medals from the last war on the man's chest. Bernie dropped a sixpence into the piper's beret and picked up his tune with a cheerful whistle. Bernie jogged up the steps from Westminster Underground Station and emerged opposite the Houses of Parliament. He stopped and admired the imposing Gothic architecture of Westminster Palace looming over the River Thames. The tall St Stephen's Tower cast a long shadow in the weak winter sun, and the bell, known as Big Ben, chimed a single bong to indicate 10:15. He stood and stared at Parliament Square, so different from when he'd been here with his uncle 2 years ago. Sandbags surrounded the entrance of every building and every statue. Tape was stuck across all the windows of the once striking buildings adjacent to the square. The stained glass windows of Westminster Abbey were boarded up. People were hurrying along in uniform, carrying identical small round cardboard boxes containing their gas mask. He walked along the pavement in Parliament Street. The brutal landscape was a daunting reminder that London was getting ready for another ruthless attack from the Germans. The preparations were unsettling for the lad, so he whistled the piper's tune, Scotland the Brave, and tapped a drum accompaniment on his gas mask box. The policeman at the Admiralty building stood outside the huge iron gates and stared in his direction. Bernie looked up at the ornate pillars either side of the entrance. Very grand, Uncle Walter. He approached the officer and held out the envelope. Could you please give this note to my uncle? He's Inspector Thompson. The policeman noted the young man's physical resemblance to Churchill's bodyguard and without turning reached behind him and pushed open the gate. Guess what we have here? The inspector's nephew. Come in, young man, said a second policeman. What's all this about? Could you give this note to my uncle, sir? My aunt asked me to leave it with you. You better give that to the secretary, I think. Come on, this way, please. Bernie followed the policeman to Bunny's office, gulping at the huge oil paintings of sea battles lining the walls. The policeman opened the office door and ushered Bernie through. Here's a young man here with a message for the inspector, Miss Shearburn. Can you assist him? Certainly, officer. Bunny's quick fingers were hitting the typewriter keys with a rhythmical click. She returned the platen with a ting and tore a piece of paper from the machine. Bernie watched her dexterity. Open-mouthed. Hello, miss. I'm Bernie, Inspector Thompson's nephew. I've an important note from him from my aunt. Bunny smiled. Of course. I'll see he received it as soon as he gets back. She started writing on a slip of paper. Here's my sister's telephone number. I stay with her quite a lot and she works nearby. Please ask your aunt to leave any future messages for the inspector with my sister and I'll make sure your uncle gets them. Bernie thanked her and both police officers and he was ushered out of the building. He walked back along Whitehall towards the House of Parliament with his hands in his pockets, whistling Brown Bear. To his surprise, he saw his Uncle Walter just ahead of him, walking towards him with a small round man. The old man turned to Bernie and shouted, Stop that blasted whistling! Walter raised his eyebrows. Oh, Lord, Bernie, is everything all right at home? I must get Churchill off the street. Bernie, why are you here? Bernie ran over, making a point of whistling louder as he approached. Is everyone safe and sound? Walter began to hurry Churchill along towards Admiralty House and Bernie kept in step. Yes, we're all fine, Uncle. And great news, we've had a telephone call from Stella. Auntie's put it all in a note. I've left it with a secretary called Miss Shearburn. He turned to Churchill. Don't like my whistling, eh? I can whistle your favourite tune if you like. No, I don't like it. It's a horrible noise, growled Churchill. Walter's eyes widened. He knew Bernie meant no harm, but he was afraid the old man might not see it the same way. They walked 3 abreast along the wide pavement. Walter surveyed the area. Please take care of your Aunt Kate and give her and your mum a big hug from me. He waggled Bernie's right ear. So you're going to have a look around? Yes, I want to get some cakes and chocolates for Mum and Auntie. I'm even going to buy something from Stella in the hope that she'll come home. Well, they deserve it. Why not walk up to Maison Lyons at Marble Arch? It's on the corner with a sign in gold lettering. They sell everything. Here, take some money, have a cup of tea and get something nice from me. Bernie's face reddened. Oh, no need for money. Auntie's has already made me take far too much. Do you know the way? Yes, Uncle. Well, off you go and have a nice time. I'll see Miss Shearburn for the note. Walter held the gate open for Churchill and took one more scour of the street.